DreamWorks has made 4 Kung Fu Panda movies. 4 villains: Tai Lung, Lord Shen, Kai, the Chameleon. And every single one of them was quietly following the same blueprint. A blueprint that only makes sense if there's a 5th villain we haven't met yet. I can show you the pattern using nothing but what's already on screen. And once you see it, you cannot unsee where this franchise is heading. I'm not guessing. I'm not making up leaks. Every clue I'm about to show you is in the movies right now. You can pause and check all of it. There are 4 things every Kung Fu Panda villain has in common: a color, a wound, a thing they wanted, and a mirror. Line them up in order across all 4 films, and they don't just rhyme, they escalate, like someone was climbing a ladder one rung at a time. And the top of that ladder?
It's blank.
Let's start with the clue hiding in plain sight, the one you've seen 100 times and never registered: color. Every major Kung Fu Panda villain has a signature color, and it's deliberate. Tai Lung, blue. Look at his eyes, the ice, the cold palette around him in the first film. Lord Shen, red. The peacock, the fire of his cannons, the red of his own feathers. Kai, green. That jade glow, the chi he steals, the emerald of every amulet on his belt. Blue, red, green. 3 villains, 3 colors. Cute coincidence, right? Except then came the Chameleon, and here's the detail almost nobody caught. The Chameleon isn't associated with one color. She's the only villain in the entire franchise tied to all of them: blue, red, and green. The exact 3 colors of the villains before her. She's a walking combination of everyone who came first. But it goes one step further, and this is the part that should stop you. She's also tied to a 4th color the villains never touched: gold. And gold in this franchise isn't a villain color. Gold is the hero's color, the Dragon Warrior's color. So the 4th villain is the first one to reach into the hero's palette. The pattern isn't just escalating, it's climbing towards something that was never supposed to be a villain at all. Hold on to that, because the colors are just the surface. Now the second thread, and this one's the real engine. What each villain actually wanted, because it grows every single movie in a way that's almost too clean to be an accident. Tai Lung wanted a scroll. One title, the Dragon Warrior. That's it. The smallest want in the whole franchise: personal recognition. Lord Shen wanted more. Not a title, a country. He wanted to conquer China and erase Kung Fu itself so nothing could ever threaten him. He scaled up from notice me to control everything. Then, Kai. Kai didn't want a title or a country. Kai wanted the chi, the literal life force of every master who ever lived. He'd been collecting it for 500 years. That's not conquest anymore. That's power on a spiritual level. The energy inside every living thing. And then the Chameleon. Watch what she wanted, because it's the giveaway. She didn't want one master's power. She wanted to become every master at once, to shapeshift into anyone, steal any ability, hold all of Kung Fu inside one body. She summoned Tai Lung, Shen, and Kai from the spirit realm specifically to drain them. She's the first villain whose goal was literally to absorb the villains before her. See the ladder? Recognition, then a nation, then all life energy, then every master who ever lived combined. Each want swallows the one before it. So ask the obvious question, the one the movie dares you to ask. What's bigger than all of that combined? What's left for a 5th villain to want? Because the pattern says there has to be one. Here's the third thread, and it's the one that turns this from a fun Easter egg hunt into something that actually tells us who's coming. Every Kung Fu Panda villain was made, not born. Each one has the same origin. They were rejected, and the rejection created the monster. Tai Lung was rejected by Oogway, denied the scroll he'd trained his whole life for. Shen was rejected by his own parents, banished, after a prophecy said a warrior of black and white would end him. Kai was rejected by history itself. He beat every master, and the world simply forgot he existed while Oogway was remembered. And the Chameleon, this is confirmed in her backstory, was rejected from every kung fu school she tried to join, mocked for being too small, and taught herself sorcery out of pure spite. 4 villains, 4 rejections. That's the wound that repeats every film, and it reframes the whole franchise, because it means the villains were never really the opposite of Po. They're what Po would have been if the world had told him no instead of yes. Po was accepted by a father who loved him, chosen by Oogway, believed in by Shifu. Every villain is a Po who got rejected instead. So here's where the wound points. If every villain is a rejected reflection of Po, then the ultimate villain, the 5th one, would have to be the deepest rejection of all. Not rejected by a teacher or a parent or history. Rejected by the one force above all of them. And there's exactly one character in this franchise who sits above teachers, parents, and history. We'll get there. Now the 4th thread, and this is the one DreamWorks basically confirmed with the Chameleon. The mirror. The Chameleon was built on purpose as a dark reflection of Po and of every villain before her. That's not fan theory. It's how she was designed. She mirrors Tai Lung's hunger for respect, Shen's thirst for revenge, Kai's power stealing. She is, quite literally, all the previous villains reflected back in one body. And that tells you exactly how this franchise builds its final bosses. Not by inventing something brand new, by combining everything that came before into a single mirror of the hero. Each villain is a slightly bigger mirror. Tai Lung mirrored Po's desire to matter. Shen mirrored Po's buried past and pain. Kai mirrored Po's spirit. The Chameleon mirrored all 3 at once, so a 5th villain, by the franchise's own logic, has to be the biggest mirror yet. A reflection not of one part of Po, but of everything Po has become. And remember what Po has become. He's not the clumsy noodle kid anymore. By the end of the 4th movie, Po is the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace. He took Oogway's old role. Po is becoming Oogway, which means the final mirror, the last villain, can't just be a dark reflection of Po the warrior. It has to be a dark reflection of Oogway, the wise master's shadow, the one who got everything Oogway got, the power, the chai, the wisdom, and was rejected anyway. Or worse, chose to use it to take instead of give. And the franchise already showed us that exact idea once. Remember Kai, Oogway's old brother-in-arms, who learned the same power Oogway did and chose to steal chi while Oogway chose to give it. Kai was a test run, a small version of the real final villain, someone from Oogway's own world, Oogway's own level, turned dark. The franchise has been rehearsing the 5th villain since the 3rd movie. We just didn't notice it was a rehearsal. So put all 4 threads together, and the 5th villain isn't a mystery anymore. It's a silhouette. Color says they'll reach into gold, the hero's own palette. The want says they'll want something bigger than all life energy and all masters combined. The wound says they'll be the deepest rejection in the franchise, someone denied by the highest power there is. And the mirror says they won't reflect Po the warrior, they'll reflect Po the master. The next Oogway, there's only one figure that silhouette fits. Not a new warlord, not another power-hungry sorcerer. The 5th villain is the dark reflection of Oogway himself, the wisdom of the franchise turned inside out. Everything Oogway represents, acceptance, giving, peace, letting go, inverted into rejection, taking, war, and refusing to let go. And that's why the franchise keeps circling the spirit realm. Every recent villain came from there. Kai, and then Tai Lung, Shen, and Kai again, all summoned back by the Chameleon. The spirit realm is where this is all heading, because that's the one place a reflection of Oogway could still exist. Po is now the master of the living world. The final enemy is the master of the other one. That's the fight the whole franchise has been quietly building toward. Body, mind, spirit, and now wisdom itself. Tai Lung tested Po's body. Shen tested his mind. Kai tested his spirit. The Chameleon tested his identity. The fifth villain tests the last thing Po has left, his wisdom. Whether the panda who became the master can face a master who became a monster. Now let me argue the other side, because I think there's a real case that I'm seeing a pattern that isn't there. Here's the skeptical read. The colors are just art direction. Animators pick a palette, so villains read clearly on screen, and the Chameleon's all colors thing is just because she's a shapeshifter, full stop. The escalating wants are just how sequels work. Every franchise makes the next threat bigger. That's not a master plan. That's screenwriting 101. And the rejected reflection of Po idea? Kung Fu Panda is a series about self-acceptance. Of course the villains are people who couldn't accept themselves. That's the theme, not a breadcrumb. And honestly, that's fair. Maybe there is no fifth villain hidden in the math. Maybe I'm doing the thing humans always do, finding a face in the clouds. But here's why I still lean in. Even if DreamWorks didn't plan a specific fifth villain, they built a pattern so consistent that the shape of one already exists. 4 movies taught us exactly what a Kung Fu Panda villain is: a rejected mirror of the hero, wanting something bigger than the last, climbing toward the hero's own color. That's not nothing. That's a mold, and the mold is currently empty, sitting right at Oogway's level, waiting. Whether they meant to or not, they've made the fifth villain almost impossible to avoid. So here's where I land. Across 4 movies, every Kung Fu Panda villain shared 4 things: a color, a want, a wound, and a mirror. And all 4 threads point at the same missing enemy, a dark reflection of Oogway, waiting in the spirit realm, for a Po who's finally become a master himself. But I genuinely want your take, because this one splits people right down the middle. Is this a real pattern DreamWorks has been building on purpose? A fifth villain hidden in plain sight since 2008? Or am I connecting dots that were never meant to connect? Drop "it's real" or just a pattern in the comments and tell me the one clue that got you. I'm going to be in there replying for the first hour this goes live, so come argue with me. And the question I actually can't shake: if the final villain really is the shadow of Oogway, then Po can't beat him with Kung Fu, or Chi, or inner peace. He'd have to beat him with the one thing Oogway gave him under that peach tree. And I'm not sure Po's ready to use it. What do you think Oogway's dark reflection would even be called? Because the moment DreamWorks names him, we're all going to feel very slow for not seeing this sooner. If you want to go deeper on the character, this all comes back to Oogway, and why his death was never what it looked like. That one pairs perfectly with this, and it's right there. Hit subscribe, because we are nowhere near done with the Valley of Peace. See you in the next one.